Hi, I'm Danny Ecker with the Chicago Business Today Midday Report. At a publicity club of Chicago lunch Wednesday, new Chicago Sun-Times Editor-in-Chief Jim Kirk discussed the future of the publication he's led for just over 3 months. He said if it were up to him, he'd bring back political endorsements to the newspaper, that after its ownership group, Reports LLC, did away with them earlier this year. Kirk's boss, CEO Tim Knight, said there are no plans to do so, holding that if readers perceive there's an influence on the paper's political coverage, then it becomes a reality in their mind. Our Lynn Merrick joins me now for more on the Sun-Times. Lynn, Jim Kirk, obviously the former chief of editorial operations here at Crain's. What's his reasoning behind wanting to bring back these political endorsements?
Well, Danny, he didn't talk too much about why he'd like to bring them back, probably because he's not quite in tune with his bosses on that point. But I can only imagine most major newspapers in cities have political endorsements, and that's because people like to read them. So I would think he's probably kind of in touch with that notion. Hey, if we have political endorsements, it increases readership.
So you mentioned, obviously we talked a little bit about the reasoning for Tim Knight and Michael Farrow. These are Jim Kirk's bosses who maybe have some reasoning behind not wanting to do it. Really, what's their point here?
When I talked to Knight yesterday, he said part of the problem is if you endorse someone for governor, it can leave this impression with readers that it might tilt your reporting in some fashion. But he also said he thinks research shows that endorsements don't have that much impact. So that's kind of the thinking behind his decision.
Right, and those around the media world that you've spoken with, what's the general pulse on whether they feel that the Sun-Times should be sort of a counterpoint to other media groups here in Chicago, when it comes to political endorsements?
I have to say, since the new ownership group took over the paper, this change has gotten more attention than probably any other change they've made. And people really kind of hanker for a second opinion in this town. You have the Tribune, it's the biggest newspaper. It's had kind of a conservative voice. So people were really kind of, for the most part, it seemed disappointed not to have the counterpoint from the Sun-Times.
Okay, and Jim Kirk also discussed yesterday some other plans for the Sun-Times future. Anything else that he reiterated there?
He talked about increasing business coverage, probably to compete a little more with Crain's here, increasing healthcare coverage, and he hinted to the company has been acquiring some other publications here in the city, and he kind of hinted that there's not enough advertising dollars to go around, and so that kind of consolidation is likely to continue. I think that suggests perhaps they have a few more targets.
Okay, Lynn. Good story. Thanks for the time.
Thanks.